During that time, I'm really going to be focusing just on kind of the general information about Illinois Tech. We are going to follow that up with a 5 to 10 minute question and answer session. I do have a tech support with me today. Farron, who is our marketing enrollment manager, is going to be on there also assisting with answering your questions. You are going to notice, as Toni mentioned, that your video and audio are off due to the size of this audience. So if you do have questions that pop up throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop those in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and then Farron will be going through and helping to answer those throughout the presentation. If you did submit questions in advance, of course, Toni and I will be talking about a lot of those concepts toward the end of the presentation, so hopefully we will be able to help you with all of those questions that you have. So before I get started with this video, I do want to let you know that it seems like the video volume is coming in a little bit quieter than when presenters are speaking. So what you're going to want to do is turn up the volume on your computer for this video so that you can see it properly and hear it properly. After the video, I'm going to remain muted for just a moment. I'm going to give everybody a chance to turn your volume down, and then I'm going to start speaking again, because if I speak while your volume is up, it's going to come in a lot louder, and I definitely don't want to blow your eardrums out at 8:30 in the morning on a Friday. So like I said, turn it up. I'll mute myself during that time, and then before I unmute myself at the end, go ahead and turn it back down again. So I'm going to go ahead and go on mute if you want to turn your volume up.
Hey, Markie, there's no sound, so I wonder if you put yourself on mute that we can't hear it. So you might have to unmute yourself.
First, to highlight for your reflection, a question about IIT and our next direction. But first, to highlight our progression from yesterday's past to today's present, a recollection. In the 1930s, Marvin Cameron started recording music onto magnetic tape. Miles upon miles of ideas and emotions captured. Miles, Thelonious, Coltrane, and Duke captured. Rapping real sounds from reel to reel, Marvin laid a foundation for the future of music, taking it out of the studios, taking it off the stage, and taking it on a walk. Man. In Marty Cooper's cell phone, to carry in your hand, untethered from line on land, take a second and imagine life before him. Or Nobel Prize winning Susan Solomon, whose commitment to climate change has helped rearrange our situation and reduced ozone depletion. Not to mention countless other grads from IIT who would pioneer the first Pentium processor, become chief scientist at Twitter, repurpose buses to bring mobile grocery stores to food deserts, and privatize the delivery of supplies to the International Space Station. So when I say we stand on the shoulders of giants, that might sound cliche, but these honorifics we just replayed paint a picture of how prolific and influential these specific giants are to us today. But it is my firm belief that our greatest successes do not lie in the past, like nostalgic trophies that as time progresses will soon be surpassed. No. Right now, the women and men who grace these halls with their presence, the pioneers of the present, are blazing trails of innovation the world has not seen yet. Like students helping to design a waste-free facility that grows vegetables hydroponically, but also makes tea, has a brewery, and feeds fish symbiotically. Or a professor like Lori Andrews, fighting to protect your online privacy, your digital dignity, making part of her life's work, securing your social network. And IIT minds are building better battery packs that will quickly charge electric cars without a negative impact, taking last century's science fiction and making it our everyday reality. Because this collaborative environment fosters creativity and wonderment, exposing the sharpest minds to the broadest context. We see a future that is brighter but cleaner, more powerful yet smaller, and our role in this future will be greater and wider. But this type of progress, this forward motion sustained, requires fuel, heart, and perspiration to be maintained. And it's our friends and graduates, our great cloud of witnesses, who will give lift to our ambitions and share in the triumphs of each and every successful mission. So here's the question. With the richness of our legacy, our heritage of ingenuity, and the momentum we hold presently, it's time to ask you earnestly, together, what can we do?
All right. So I really love that video. I always feel so inspired after I watch it. And the reason that I love showing that at the beginning of these presentations is because this really is exactly how our students at Illinois Tech make us feel. Our students at Illinois Tech are all of the things that you see on the screen right now and more. So Illinois Tech really is a different kind of institution. It is smaller, it is personal. All of the classes, 100% of them are taught by professors. So no graduate assistants, no teaching assistants teaching classes. They may be there to assist, but they are not actually teaching the content. And really, I think the thing that makes Illinois Tech special is its identity specifically as a STEM institution that is there to produce entrepreneurs and innovators and interdisciplinary thinkers. The really interesting thing about our curriculum is that I feel like oftentimes there are misconceptions about certain STEM schools, thinking that it is kind of a cold scientific environment, or thinking that students really only engage in science and technology and mathematics. But that being said, that's actually really not the case at Illinois Tech. We do understand that students have to have multiple skills to be successful in the workplace. And oftentimes those skills are related to things that you typically don't associate with STEM. So communication skills, the ability to write, the ability to be flexible and manage multiple audiences. So for that reason, we do not solely have just a STEM curriculum. And even students who are your computer science majors, your engineers, since all of the coursework at Illinois Tech is interdisciplinary in nature, they are still being exposed to all of those soft skills and all of those skills in other areas that are really going to make them successful professionals. The other thing that I love about our smaller environment at Illinois Tech, and this is from the perspective of myself as an educator prior to coming into higher ed, but I love the way that we teach our classes. So as someone who has worked with students for multiple years, the hands-on learning at Illinois Tech, I can tell you, really does come second to none, in my opinion. Most of the coursework at Illinois Tech has that heavy hands-on component. Typically, the students are definitely engaged in project-based learning. They're working in the labs. They are working collaboratively on teams. And then sometimes they're even working with people from different majors on campus, bringing us back to that interdisciplinary thinkers kind of theme. So I can't wait to tell you throughout most of this presentation how we are doing all of these things that you see on the screen. So we'll be talking more and more about this as we go on. But this is definitely a huge part of our identity at Illinois Tech. So just kind of starting with the basics, I want to chat a little bit about our location. I'm sure that we have several counselors probably from the Chicago area here in the room with us today, but if you're not from the Chicago area, or maybe if you just don't get to our area of the city very often, it's kind of a good reminder to see all of those things that we have around us. So we do have a fairly small campus. It's only about 4 blocks long by 3 blocks wide. It's about 125 acres, but the really cool thing about our campus is technically it is on the south side of the loop, but we have this amazing vantage point where we basically look directly north at the loop, and we're only 3 miles away. So students absolutely love this because they can literally hop on the red line, they can be on the loop within 10 minutes, and they have access then to the rest of the city. It is a residential campus. I think sometimes that there's a misconception that we don't have residence halls or that it's a commuter campus. That's actually not the case. About 70% of our students absolutely do choose to live on campus with us and are incredibly engaged within their residence halls, working with their RAs and communicating with their peers. The really wonderful thing I think about our campus, though, is we are not solely just next to the loop. We also have a surrounding community that we really love and that we're really committed to. So we are technically located in historic Bronzeville, which is actually this really amazing old community that has beautiful history. In fact, there's actually a saying that jazz was born in New Orleans, but it grew up in Bronzeville. There's a lot of music history in this community. So we really, really love where we're located for that reason. Another thing is we are directly east of a community called Bridgeport, and it's just this really adorable little kind of residential community south of the loop. And a lot of people are really starting to love Bridgeport. It was voted one of the best areas to live in Chicago recently. There are cute little coffee shops in the area, some cute little restaurants to eat at and things like that. So the students definitely have tons of options whenever it comes to entertainment. We are just a few minutes south as well of Chinatown, so students can jump on the Red Line and head to Chinatown. Notice that we also are right next to the White Sox Stadium, so all those fireworks that you just saw in the video, that's a regular occurrence for our students to be able to stand on the rooftops of the residence halls and watch the fireworks after the White Sox games, because it's just right across the highway from us. And then in addition to that, we're actually less than a mile away from the beach as well, so whenever the weather's nice, our students really love going out to the beach and hanging out or playing volleyball or whatever it is that they want to do. And then of course, our location in Chicago just in general is a huge perk for not only our students, but I mean, we love it as well. We definitely view the city as our playground. We are very proud of our city and absolutely love spending time in it. And many of the projects that we do and that our students do at the institution are really for the benefit of our city as well, and we'll chat more about that. So to chat a little bit about typically what our undergraduate class looks like, we do have about 3,000 undergraduate students, and notice that we have about 5,000 graduate and law students, which is kind of an interesting dynamic. Typically you're going to see the opposite. So I will say that that graduate student body being quite a bit larger than our undergraduate body is really, really beneficial for our undergraduate students. So because of the fact that we do have so many graduate students, that also means that we have a lot of research projects going on at all times. And so undergraduates at Illinois Tech have this unique opportunity to start getting involved in faculty and graduate research opportunities as early as spring semester of their first year with us on campus. So they are immediately getting access to this experiential learning and research that is going to benefit their career so much earlier than is typical at some other institutions. Transfer students represent about a third of our student body, so we are definitely a transfer-friendly school. And then our student to faculty ratio is about 12 to 1, so definitely smaller class sizes. About 86% of our classes are going to be 40 students or less, and then typically as you really get into those heavy major related courses that are rigorous, they're going to be even smaller. So, and as I said before, 100% of the classes are taught by professors at Illinois Tech, which is another thing that I think is a point in favor of our instruction. So we do, of course, have graduate assistants, teaching assistants, but they are there to assist. The people who are the experts are the ones who are teaching the content. That being said, actually all 50 of our states are represented within our student body. We do have a large international population as well. So one of the things that I absolutely love about our institution is that diversity, and it's something that we value and very much celebrate in our student body. And then our retention rate, all of these factors I think keep our students coming back to us after their first year into that second year and beyond, because we do have that 86% retention rate between the freshman and the sophomore year. So hopping in now to a conversation about our colleges, you can see here that we have Armour College of Engineering, we have our College of Architecture. Now there is going to be a change that was literally just announced as of March 4th, but the College of Science now has made a little bit of a transition, and starting next year we are actually going to have a College of Computing that is going to include all of those computing majors like information systems technology, like computer science, like cybersecurity, applied math, and then Lewis College of Human Sciences, which is kind of the closest thing in my opinion, that we have to a College of Liberal Arts. That is now going to be the Lewis College of Science and Letters. So essentially what that means is the hard sciences, such as biology, physics, things along those lines, and then our human sciences, like the psychological sciences, behavioral health and wellness, classes that are related to public policy, things like that. Those are all going to fall within the Lewis College of Science and Letters. The School of Applied Technology, those are computer-related majors as well, typically, and those are going to be moving into our College of Computing as of the fall as well. And then Stewart School of Business is our business school. So we'll chat a little bit more about each one of these colleges in detail. And then that being said, we do have over 50 undergraduate majors. We do have over 50 minors as well. And notice that there are some minors that you see on that list that probably aren't super common at other institutions. So students are actually able to minor in artificial intelligence, and in addition to being able to major in it now at Illinois Tech. They can minor in music, they can minor in game design. So a lot of students really typically use minors to either supplement their education or to pursue a passion that they have on top of what they're doing in their major. And then of course, we also have some of our special programs, such as our pre-med programs, pre-pharmacy, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and dive in and start chatting in a little bit more detail about our College of Engineering. So you can see here that we have 12 different majors within our College of Engineering. The thing that I love about the College of Engineering is, once again, that it's incredibly hands-on in nature. So this college is definitely our most popular at Illinois Tech. About 50% of our student body typically are enrolled in majors within the College of Engineering. So out of those 3,000 undergraduate students, about 1,500 of them are actually within this college. That being said, I would say that probably our most popular majors within this college would include mechanical engineering. We definitely see a lot of electrical engineering students. We are definitely seeing an uptick at this point in students who are choosing biomedical engineering, since that is such a new and specialized field. Something that's really important to note about our biomedical engineering program is that it is ABET accredited, which is very difficult to get in biomedical engineering. So that is important for students to be aware of. In addition to that, we have some really unique programs within the College of Engineering. Notice that we do have architectural engineering. So for those students who are really interested in architecture and in building and design, but maybe they tend to be more mathematically minded and they are interested less in the design component and more in the actual building of the structures and the engineering of it, then architectural engineering is a beautiful choice for those students. In addition to that, we also have our computer and cybersecurity engineering program. And I know that it's one of the first programs in the country of its kind. And basically what this means is students are spending quite a bit of their major-related coursework taking those computer engineering classes, but then they have a full year of courses within this program that are basically an intense study of cybersecurity, so that whenever they graduate from this program, really they're qualified to go into either or. So it's not a double major. It is really considered more of a dual major in that respect. But that being said, all of these programs, like I said, are incredibly hands-on. Armour College of Engineering alone has about 12 to 13 different engineering labs that students are taking advantage of and working in constantly in this program. And I do know that all the way from the very first class that students ever take in this program, which is their Introduction to the Profession class for engineering, up until the end of their program, they're immediately engaged in that hands-on learning. For example, I know the Introduction to the Profession class for mechanical engineering builds robots right away in that first semester. So students are being exposed very quickly to what it means to be an engineer. It gives them time to kind of decide if they're in the right place or if they're not. And then that being said, basically, if they take that first class and they think, I don't know about this, they really have time to change that major before they get too far along. In addition, something that is really interesting about all of our colleges is that it's not just our STEM colleges that typically have research going on. So in every single one of our colleges, we always have faculty research projects going on, and our faculty are often featured in major publications. Matt Spanko, who you see here on the slide, he is one of our favorite mechanical engineering professors. He also does stand-up comedy in his free time, so the students love him. He's a lot of fun to be around. But that being said, he is our director of Illinois Tech's robotics lab, and he is an absolute lover of working with robots and working with that technology. I do know that actually recently he was working on a project with students. And once again, this is one of those research projects that I was telling you about that students have an opportunity to be part of starting as early as spring semester of their first year with us. But he actually was working on a robotic attachment that goes on the outside of space shuttles. And essentially what this attachment does is it will crawl around on the outside of the space shuttle, and it will actually clear away the space junk while it's in flight. And I know that he actually designed it kind of based off of the model of like a foot of a gecko lizard that has those little suction cups on the bottom. So that being said, he is absolutely doing these projects with students. This is an opportunity that they have to engage in. And he actually also has a display at the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry if you go to the toy section. So if you're ever in Chicago and you're at MSI, see if you can find Matt Spanko's robots in the toy section of that area. Now, in terms of the College of Science, as I said, this is going to be reformatting a little bit next year. So if you look at the programs like computer science, computer information systems, applied mathematics, those are our programs that are going to be going into that College of Computing next year that I was telling you about. Artificial intelligence, once again, is also one of those that's going to be going into the College of Computing. So in terms of our science majors, these, for example, such as applied physics, such as astrophysics, biology, chemistry, any of those hard sciences, those are going to be going into that Lewis College of Science and Letters. So this college is essentially being split in two and put into two different places. But we are really excited about that because of the fact that essentially it's going to allow for a much more robust educational experience for these students. That being said, typically, once again, things that are notable about any of the programs within the College of Science is that there's going to be a very, very strong math curriculum that is offered for these majors. On top of that, these majors are going to be incredibly research heavy, incredibly hands-on in terms of being really focused on project-based learning. For example, I actually just got to take a tour of some of the things that they do in the biology department, and I do know that one of the professors actually has ongoing research related to cancer cells right now, and she has students working with her on that. We do have other research projects going on where students, for example, in the chemistry program, are looking at different types of materials that are used to package food, and if those things are linked to health issues and how we can prevent those things. In addition to that, within that College of Science, we also have our pre-medical and health professions programs. Dr. Catherine Spink is our pre-med advisor, and she works really hard with those medical students to prepare them. And there are even really unique experiences that come for our medical students, such as actually getting to travel to other countries and serve people in terms of the health profession. So I know that they went to South America last year and got to do some service work down there as part of their curriculum and what they were doing. Now, obviously, like I said, there's research that goes on in every college, and there really could be a huge research slide after every single one that I talk about, but I think I would be keeping you in this Zoom room all day long if I did that. So I will highlight some research here and there, but just be aware that it is absolutely available for every single college on campus. Now, the architecture program is absolutely one of my favorite programs to talk about, and the reason for that is because it is such a unique opportunity for students to, I think, kind of maximize their return on investment from their degree. So for our Bachelor of Architecture, it is a 5-year professional bachelor's degree. So what that means is that typically in architecture, usually the structure at most institutions is going to be a 4+2 program where they have to spend 4 years in undergrad and then they have to go on for another 2 years of a master's degree before they qualify to take the exam that they have to take to be licensed to practice independently as an architect. At Illinois Tech, we definitely shorten that for them into a 5-year professional bachelor's degree so that they do not have to go on and get that master's. They're graduating a year earlier. They're getting income a year earlier. And then in addition to that, if they do still decide that they want to pursue graduate school, then there's the possibility of them doing it in something else to really build their credentials in kind of a different way and be a little bit more well-rounded. Now, in the event that they still say, hey, I want that master's degree in architecture, we absolutely do offer the master's degree program, but they certainly don't have to pursue it in order to be licensed. That being said, the really cool thing is that all of our scholarships will actually carry through the 5th year for architecture students. So even though there is that 5th year, they don't have to worry about not having funding for that additional year in school. Something else that I love about the architecture program is that it does allow students to specialize in specific areas of the field that they're most interested in pursuing. So you can see those specializations here on the screen. I think the thing that I tend to really respect about the College of Architecture, though, is just the way that the program in general is structured. So it is a 5-year studio sequence. There are actually 2 different architecture studios. One is going to be for 1st and 2nd year students. The other one is for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th year students. The things that they do within those labs, of course, are differentiated according to the skill level of the students. So the curriculum is highly responsive and it meets students where they are. Even transfer students, whenever they transfer into the architecture program, submit a portfolio in advance, and then they are placed within years of the program depending on their skill level. So the faculty are absolutely wonderful in the architecture program about ensuring that students have the skills they need to be successful. That being said, the curriculum, as I said, within that 5-year studio sequence is incredibly hands-on. They literally learn their architecture in classrooms that are within architectural landmarks. Our Crown Hall is actually a really famous building that was designed by Mies van der Rohe, a great architect. So not only are they in this amazing program, but they are literally learning in buildings that are considered to be architectural landmarks in Chicago. So for the human sciences, this is, like I said, it's kind of what I would say is the closest thing that we have on campus to a college of liberal arts, I guess is the way that you could think of it. So essentially in fact, all of these majors are going to be moved into our Lewis College of Science and Letters next year. Now, that being said, what I love about the College of Human Sciences at Illinois Tech is that we kind of understand that in today's society, we can no longer really allow students to go out into the real world without having technical skills, without understanding technology, understanding how to utilize technology in order to be a stronger professional. So even though students may choose majors within the human sciences, and they may study psychological science or global studies or whatever it is, all of these majors within this college are taught through a technical lens, so that when students are out in the real world, they can still analyze data, they can still work with computers, they still understand how to leverage technology. So I highly recommend that if you have students who are interested in the liberal arts, but maybe their parents are saying that they're concerned about the job outlook, maybe they're pursuing a different kind of degree just because they're concerned about other factors, you could absolutely encourage them to take advantage of one of these programs, because many of the students who graduate from these majors still even end up working for tech companies. And we often hear feedback from those employers where they say, wow, these employees are so valuable because they have these amazing communication skills and they understand how to explain technical things to non-technical audiences. So these majors are a really, really unique opportunity for students who are interested in these fields. I did want to point out, as I said, that research is not just limited to our STEM majors at Illinois Tech. And the really cool thing is it's really common to see our professors actually kind of collaborate with each other between colleges. So you can see that Dr. Aaron Collada, he is actually one of our professors in our artificial intelligence program, has actually partnered with Carly Kosek, who is one of our digital humanities professors from Lewis College of Human Sciences. And they have absolutely collaborated on different projects. One of them is that Dr. Collada took the lead on a project where he was able to monitor tweets about the flu so that you could create health statistics and provide information to the government so that people could respond more quickly to flu outbreaks. In addition to that, Carly, our other professor, has done different projects where she has studied kind of the social aspect of gaming and how technology changes the way that we interact socially and how people can create these different kind of cultural communities through gaming. So I know that students absolutely love participating in her research projects because they're in that type of content. And as I said before, the School of Applied Technology, this was also one of our kind of tech-focused colleges with those computer-related majors as well. All of these majors are going to be going into that College of Computing that I was referring to. The difference, I would say, between the computer science majors, between artificial intelligence, and then between the ones that you see here on the screen, I would say is really kind of the skill set that is really relied upon the most. So for your students who are really strong in math, who love calculus, who like abstract thinking, and who absolutely know that software design is what they want to do, computer science is probably a great choice for those students. Artificial intelligence is also a great choice for those students because of that heavy calculus component. But that being said, there are certain students who still have that affinity for technology, that maybe they don't have that strong math background, or maybe it's not that they don't have the ability to problem solve, but they do so much better whenever they're doing it in a hands-on way. That is really what these majors are. These are hands-on technology majors. So what is really cool is that students who major in, for example, information technology and management are then able to choose specializations within that program. And you see some of those specializations, including the ones at the bottom of the screen. But oftentimes these students graduate and end up with very similar career positions, if not the same, to people who graduate from our computer science program. So even if they don't come in directly through computer science and they come in through information technology and management instead, they can still specialize in software development and still end up with coding jobs and things along those lines. Another really cool thing that we have started offering in the last couple of years is an entire bachelor's degree in applied cybersecurity and information technology. And I'm sure you have been hearing that cybersecurity is just one of the fastest growing fields out there right now. In fact, there's actually an anticipation that there could even be a crisis at some point in the next few years because there will be so many cybersecurity positions available and probably not enough people to fill them. So if students are looking for job security, this is definitely the place to go. And then in addition to that, we also have an industrial technology program that our transfer students tend to go into pretty often. And once again, this is going to be kind of a hands-on technology-related program that is very general in nature and can be associated with several different technical career outcomes. So that being said, if you ever have students who definitely have that affinity for tech, but maybe you don't see that strong calculus background that is required for computer science, absolutely have them think about one of these majors, information technology and management, or something along those lines. So moving on to our Stewart School of Business, this is another one of our colleges that I think has a really interesting and unique model. So notice that we actually only have one bachelor's degree that we offer through Stewart School of Business, and that's a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. But the thing that is unique about that, number one, is that it's not a Bachelor of Arts, it's a Bachelor of Science. And the reason for that is, once again, even though it is a business degree, much like our human sciences, it is taught through that technical lens. So students then who major in business administration still are going to have a very, very strong technical background. They're going to understand how to analyze data, how to leverage that data within the market in order to improve their practice. And then notice that although we only offer the one major, that Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, the way that we provide variety and then allow students to kind of track into the type of business field that they're wanting to go into is through our business specializations. So notice that it is absolutely possible for a student to say, I want to major in business, but I want to make sure that I kind of end up in the architecture field managing those businesses. So, well, then they can choose architecture as their business specialization. We often see students who have a real interest in engineering, but don't necessarily want to be engineers. And so they will specialize in engineering and they will get to kind of cross over and take some of those engineering classes. So it really is a wonderful way for students to be able to study in an interdisciplinary way and really kind of cater their path to go into the type of field that they're really, really wanting post-graduation. So that's really an overview of all of our majors. And really, as I said, every single college is going to have research experiences that students are more than welcome to participate in. And so if you have any specific questions about these programs or would like to dig a little deeper, absolutely feel free to drop some questions in the chat, or you are welcome to contact us directly as well for questions and follow-up. So that being said, I want to kind of move away from talking about specific majors and more just kind of into a general discussion about what makes Illinois Tech as an institution unique. And I want to start with what makes us unique from an instructional perspective. So there are a couple of hallmarks of an Illinois Tech education, and I often kind of refer to these two things as like the bookends of a student's education at Illinois Tech. So there are two courses that every single student is going to be required to take. The first one is called Introduction to the Profession, or ITP for short. And basically, students take that typically in the first semester. And the point of this class is not simply to just introduce them to basic concepts within that major, but it is really to kind of take a deep dive into what does that career really look like. And so the wonderful thing about this class is that because at Illinois Tech, students do apply to a specific major versus just applying for general admission, this class is really a safety net for students. They are able to take this class, they are able to be exposed to research within that field, they get exposure to the career itself. I know that many of the professors will actually bring in Illinois Tech alum to talk about their experiences in the field. There are many projects in this class that students do that is highly related to what they're going to be doing in that field. So I think I mentioned earlier that in the mechanical engineering class, they actually build robots literally in that first class. I know that in the civil engineering class, they actually go out and do surveying work in this very first semester. So students should have a really strong idea when they come out of this course if this field really is the right choice for them or not. And if it's not, if they think I really need to make a change, then it's only one semester that it took for them to figure that out. In addition to that, there is another class that I get really excited to talk about, and it's called our Interprofessional Projects class, or IPRO. And because of this class, this is the one that I was telling you is totally interdisciplinary in nature. So the interesting thing is students have to take typically at least one iPro before they graduate. Many students choose to take two. Typically it is in the latter part of their education with us, although they have started offering this class to first years in a slightly different format for just kind of an extra supplemental experience. But basically students in this class are placed on teams of typically about 10, but they are all from different majors. So a student who is an engineer, for example, is probably going to be one of only a couple of engineers on that team, but they're going to be placed on a team with people from the human sciences, with business majors, with an architect most likely, with someone from the psychological sciences, and so on and so forth. And then the goal of this particular project is for the students to come together to think about some kind of a real world issue that they're really passionate about trying to solve, and then coming up with a solution by making a working prototype. So students really use this as an opportunity to better our community that we live in and also better our world. A few examples of iPros that I've seen that have absolutely just blown me away. There was one group of students who had a mechanical engineering professor who had had an accident and had lost the functioning of part of his body. And so they actually used their iPro project to design a wheelchair for him that would allow him then to stand up, to teach in class, to utilize the whiteboard, and to do all the things that he was struggling to do post-accident. Another really cool example of an interprofessional project that I've seen is we did have students who were kind of looking at the disparity between wealth essentially and access to healthy food. And so what they wanted to do was create a big greenhouse essentially and grow crops right on Illinois Tech's campus. And so we call it our smart farm, Illinois Tech's, our Illinois Tech's U Farm. And it is still open. It is still producing crops today. So that being said, there are just countless projects that students have done. This program is often funded and partnered with by different corporations in the Chicago area. And so oftentimes reps from these businesses will come to our big iPro Showcase Day. They will see the work that the students are doing. And so oftentimes students will also make professional connections as a result of this class and often end up with offers for jobs or interviews as well. So really interesting things going on there. Now, how in the world do they create all of these prototypes that we're talking about, though? I'm sure that they're going to need some very specialized materials to do that, and that is what our Idea Shop is for. So our Idea Shop is located in our Kaplan Innovation Center, and it is a brand new facility that just has every piece of equipment that you could possibly think of. So there are laser cutters, there are 3D printers, there are different types of materials. But essentially, the really interesting thing about our Idea Shop is that not only is it utilized for coursework, such as our iPro class and for some other classes, but in addition to that, the Idea Shop is also available for personal use for students. So we do have a lot of students who are those creative thinkers who just like to create new projects for fun. Sometimes those projects become business concepts and become marketable. And so the student that you see on the screen here, Dane Christensen, is a great example of a situation where exactly that happened. So Dane was in our Idea Shop messing around. He created this toy that you see in his hand called the X Cube. And notice that it looks a lot like a Rubik's Cube, but it is in the shape of an X. So it's basically a much more difficult version of that Rubik's Cube. Well, this concept for Dane ended up becoming a marketable thing. And now Dane actually has his own toy company. And these X Cubes are sold online. They're sold, I believe, through Marbles and through other different places. So Dane is still the CEO of his own toy company at this point in time. And he started this his sophomore year at Illinois Tech. So Illinois Tech does not claim intellectual property rights to anything that these students do personally in the Idea Shop. And that is part, I think, of our commitment to entrepreneurship to support students in their success in those areas. So I did mention that the Ed Kaplan Family Institute for Innovation and Tech Entrepreneurship is one of it's our newest building on campus. So this is the home to our iPro program. It is where our Idea Shop is located. And this is also where our Institute of Design is located. So students are able to go into this building. They are able to take advantage of the Idea Shop and the equipment in there. But then there's also a really beautiful cafe. It's called Metropolis Coffee that students can dine and have coffee in, and there are also oftentimes different kinds of activities that go on in this building. Like, for example, our Leadership Academy for students often meets in this building. So a few other things to mention about our academic programs that I think are pretty unique to our institution is also the ability to double down and get 2 degrees at one time. And so essentially we have what are called accelerated master's degree programs where students can get their bachelor's and master's degree in as few as 5 years time. And the way that this works is it's not by overloading the students, it's not by making them take tons more credit hours than other students to cram it into 5 years. Instead, what we do is students for the first 3 years just focus on taking their regular undergraduate courses. In the 4th year, they actually take a combination of both undergraduate and graduate courses. And the way that we do that is by taking some of the free electives in their schedule and removing those to replace them with graduate courses. So that's how we get away without making them take too many extra credit hours and being really overloaded. And then in that 5th year, that is when they typically take the rest of their graduate courses. The really cool thing, though, is that they can utilize all of their scholarship dollars additional 5th year. So the reason that we call it your academic twofer essentially is because you can utilize all of your same funding that you got as an undergraduate to take you through that remaining year of graduate school. And so ultimately you're getting so much more value out of your education by taking this route. So we do have accelerated master's degree programs basically available in every field. And so if students are even remotely considering the possibility of graduate school, they should absolutely consider this as an option. This is not something that they have to know that they want to do typically until about the end of their 2nd year at Illinois Tech. It's going to vary a little bit depending on the program, but it's something that they can absolutely just kind of put in their back pocket during their 1st year and just really think about throughout their first couple of years with us before committing to doing something like this. So that is really the academic component. And as you can see, we take academics very, very seriously at Illinois Tech. Our students are definitely proud of what they do in the classroom. They're proud of what they do beyond the classroom. But with that being said, whereas Illinois Tech loves to work hard, we also love to play hard. So I also want to honor our campus life and make sure that I spend some time talking about that. So in terms of student life at Illinois Tech, this is a topic that I get really excited to chat about because our Office of Campus Life, I think, does a really wonderful job in that any of those fees that you see on students' tuition bills that are supposed to go to student life, actually 100% of those fees go towards student activities. So they do not get reallocated anywhere else. The money gets put right back into the students and what they're doing on campus. I know that speaking with the director of Campus Life recently, I think he told me that they hosted something like way over 600 events last year for our students. And so there are so many ways to get involved at Illinois Tech. And so because our students do take academics so seriously, sometimes we have to remind them that this is really important and that they do need to be involved outside of the classroom. So 150 different student organizations that they can join. The wonderful thing is if they look at our list of student organizations and they say, hey, there are things that I'm interested in that I don't see here, we do give students the power to start their own student organizations with a faculty sponsor. So it is very student forward, student controlled. That being said, the organizations are going to vary anywhere from professional organizations to academic organizations, all the way to cultural and religious organizations to just hobbies and things that students can do for fun. So there should be something for everybody. In addition to that, we do have fraternity and sorority life at Illinois Tech. And the thing that I love to talk about when it comes to our Greek life is that these students really tend to be campus leaders at Illinois Tech. So I believe that the last time that we looked at the data, the students who were involved in fraternities and sororities tended to actually have high when compared to the rest of the student body. And so whenever you think about some of the stereotypes, especially the associated with Greek life, that's really not the case at our institution. We also have tons of intramural athletic opportunities. So for students who are interested in playing sports, but they don't they're welcome to get involved this way. We do have our Keating Sports Center on campus where we offer Hawk fitness classes. So students are also able to take advantage of those things. And then is that we have a student lounge called the Bog. And basically there is a snack bar down there. Students can go down there and get waffle fries, pizza, nachos, different things along those lines. I hear the waffle fries are legendary. I've never tried them, but I know that students love them. But there are also arcade games down there. There's a bowling alley. So it's just a really great place for students to hang out. Our commuter lounge is also located in the Bog. There are lockers there. There's a place to keep lunch if you want it. So for students who do commute, there is kind of a place for them to put their things down and rest between classes if they choose to. In addition to that, part of our student life, of course, is our campus activities. One of the examples that we have here is the pumpkin launch. And I love talking about this because this is so unique to our identity as a STEM institution. I know that our engineering students absolutely love the pumpkin launch because specifically they actually have to, you'll see a picture here on the screen, they actually have to build catapults. And then the competition is to see who can catapult a pumpkin the furthest across the campus. And it's usually a beautiful sunny day in October whenever this takes place. And it's right around the time that we do homecoming as well. So wonderful things to say about student life at Illinois Tech. We are definitely looking for students to come in and continue enhancing our student life and just continue bringing liveliness and culture to our campus. So talking about our residence halls, I'm really excited because actually as of fall 2020, we're going to have a brand new residence hall open for first and second year students. So George A. Kasich Hall is actually our brand new residence hall. It is a high-rise piece of housing where actually from the 9th floor, there's a 360 view of the city. You can see the lake from the top floor. It is absolutely beautiful. That being said, there is also State Street Village, which is suite style housing. And then we also have our McCormick Student Village, which is more of your traditional residence hall. So there are going to be about 6 different wings within McCormick Student Village. And then it is that shared bathroom situation where students typically are going to have about a bathroom per wing or per per floor. That being said, there is a 2-year housing requirement for first and second year students, but if students are within 20 miles of Illinois Tech's campus, they can apply for a housing waiver and choose to live with a parent or guardian. For transfer students, there are obviously ways that transfer students can be exempt from that as well, depending on how many semesters of coursework that they have or their age. So there are definitely ways to be exempt from that 2-year requirement, but we do value our students living on campus because we know that there's a lot of research behind students living on campus and having that support from their community, which ultimately helps them to be more successful in their first couple of years. So that is why we have the policy that we have. In addition to that, part of that 2-year residency requirement is that they also get an unlimited meal plan. And so students will often say, well, why does it need to be unlimited? And the response to that is because it's very obvious that students are not just going to eat a couple meals a day. So that unlimited meal plan is also going to cover things like stopping for a cup of coffee, just getting a snack between classes. So they can really stop by that dining hall as much as they need to get whatever they need to fuel themselves to get through the school day. Oh, something else that I forgot to mention on this last slide, and I really want to make sure that I talk about it, is also the services, though, that are offered within our residence halls. So one of the programs that I'm really excited to chat with you about is that we do have a first-year experience team now. And so essentially, of course, our first-year experience team is meant to assist with the transition from high school to college. And then part of that, of course, is helping students to really become immersed in the Illinois Tech community. So within that first-year experience, they are engaged in a game called Game of Hawks. And basically what this is it's a friendly competition that's based on where they live, depending on what residence hall or what commuter group they're a part of, but they're given all kinds of tasks throughout the school year. And some of them are academic in nature, some of them are social in nature, some of them are leadership oriented, but students who are first years then are asked to work together within their teams to accomplish these tasks. And actually it's going to help them, of course, get acclimated to the campus and to the institution. So if students are really looking for a college that is supportive of first year students, that really helps them with that transition, ensures that they're really brought into the community and just wrapped with support, then that is absolutely the intention of our first year experience team. Now, the next pictures that you're going to see are renderings of our brand new residence hall CASIC. So I just want to flip through these so that you can see a little bit of more of an example of what CASIC hall is actually going to look like. So I mentioned that it is that tower style building. It's not a skyscraper. It's not super tall. Like I said, it's about nine floors, I want to say. And then from that top floor, like I said, that's where you get that 360 view, where if you're looking to the north, you get to see the loop. If you're looking to the east, you get that view of the lake. It is just absolutely beautiful. And this is what the floor plan is going to look like. So you can see that are going to be a variety of room sizes and things like that on each floor. This is what the floors are actually going to look like when students come up off of the stairs. So nice and modern. This type of architecture, this modern kind of sleek industrial style, was really kind of, I would say, trademarked by Mies van der Rohe, who's a very famous architect who is the architect of most of our buildings on campus. And so oftentimes our new constructions are really built to mirror that original style, since he was the builder of most of our famous buildings. Here's another rendering of what the floors are going to look like. So feel free to take a moment and just take a look. A little bit more of a picture of what these community spaces are going to look like. So you do see that students have places to put their stuff if they need to, places to lounge around, to study, to hang out with friends. There's access to computers, pool tables, and then a few more floor plans for us to take a look at. So the point of showing all of these things is just to show that there are definitely a plethora of different living options for our students. There are single rooms available, there are double rooms available, there are rooms that have bathrooms, there are rooms where the bathroom is located down the hall. So depending on what the needs of the students are in terms of privacy and accommodations, we can absolutely accommodate all of those things within the same residence halls. So Moving on to talking a little bit more about campus life. In terms of athletics, I'm sure that you have several students who are interested in being an athlete in college. The first thing to mention is that we are a Division III school. So with Division III schools, that basically means that while we do compete at that high college level, we are not able to offer athletic scholarships. Now, the perk, of course, for students, though, of coming to a Division III school, and what I always explain to students, is that at a Division III school, there is going to be a very strong balance between the academic component of life and, of course, the athletic component of life. And I can tell you that at Illinois Tech, our coaches absolutely value our students' academic success. They are on top of our students, making sure that they're still studying, making sure that they're taking time to do what they need to do. And students are absolutely never going to have to choose between their coursework and their athletic life. So they can definitely expect to get that support. In the event that students ever start struggling, the coaches do a really great job of connecting them with our academic resource center to get tutoring that they need or whatever it is. So if you have students who are interested, all of our sports are recruited, but if they're interested in speaking with a coach, they can always reach out to the admissions office and we can absolutely connect them from there. So that being said, that's kind of the information about campus life. And now for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to really kind of get into the nitty gritty and start talking about the actual application process and then of course the financial aid overview. So we are on the Common Application, so it's going to be free for students to apply, and they can do that at apply.iit.edu. They just have to indicate that Illinois Tech is one of the schools that they would like to use the Common Application to apply to. If students are first-year students, we're going to need the official ACT or SAT scores. We do absolutely super score, so if students have taken that test multiple times, we will take their highest score in each section and then calculate their new highest composite for them, which is wonderful, of course, when it comes to scholarships. We do need their official high school transcript, as well as at least one letter of recommendation. And my advice to students is always try to get that letter from a teacher who is highly related to the major that you're wanting to go into. So engineering majors, get it from a math teacher, get it from an engineering teacher, a science teacher. As far as recommended coursework goes, of course, basically it's whatever they need to graduate from high school. That's what they need coming into Illinois Tech. However, the power, I would always say to students, is in contacting your admission counselor and making sure that you are doing what you need to do to be a strong candidate for each program. At Illinois Tech, we don't have just blanket admissibility standards for every single program. We do use a holistic application process. So we are going to look at each major. We're going to look at the skill sets that are required to be successful in these majors. And then we are going to adjust our standards slightly depending on what that skill set is. So students who are going to be engineering majors are going to be assessed differently than students who want to go into the human sciences. So if students are curious as to what do I need to do to be competitive for XYZ major, have them reach out to us and our counselors will absolutely have a very individualized conversation and talk to them about important courses to take and things that we specifically look for in the application. Now, in terms of a first-year class profile, though, I can kind of give you just a general sense of what most of our students look like. So as far as the middle 50% of our admitted students, most of them are in the top 10% of their graduating class. Typically, their weighted GPA is going to be anywhere between a 3.73 and a 4.3, and that is, of course, adjusted to a 4.0 scale. And then you can see the mean SAT and ACT scores that we have here. So that being said, typically most of our students are going to fall within these ranges, but we would still encourage students, we do have students above and below this. So if they look at these standards and they say, I don't know if I'm going to be admissible, then still have them reach out to us because we can always talk to them about a plan for success and a plan to get to Illinois Tech. In terms of transfer requirements, I do want to point out that, especially I know that right now, given a lot of the uncertainty around COVID-19, we may see a higher number of students choosing to go to community colleges this time around. But the good news is that it is just as easy to come into Illinois Tech as a transfer student and to be successful that way. So basically, if students are coming in as transfer students, we are going to need all of their college transcripts. We typically have a letter of recommendation recommendation that is just optional for students, but I do encourage them to submit it just because it's an extra piece of information that we can use. And then there's a personal essay as well. Typically, we won't need the high school information for transfer students, but sometimes if they didn't spend a lot of time at a different institution and they have less than 30 credit hours, we may ask them for that high school information as well. If students are considering applying to Illinois Tech as transfer students, definitely start talking to them now about our Fast Forward program. So the really cool thing about Fast Forward is it is a non-committal program. It's free to sign up, so they are not committed to attending school at Illinois Tech if they become part of this program. But essentially, it's basically an advising program for transfer students. So students can sign up for our Fast Forward program online through our Fast Forward interest form. Basically, they'll get into the program. They will be welcomed to the Illinois Tech community through our Fast Forward orientation. They will get all the information that they need through that, and they will get to meet with our transfer counselors each semester to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to be admissible for the program by the time they transfer in. In terms of admission deadlines, November 15th is going to be our special scholarship deadline for first-year students. And so when I say it's our special scholarship deadline, these are our really prestigious scholarships. So if students apply for before November 15th, they're going to be eligible for our Camas Crown and Duchossois scholarships, which are full tuition scholarships. However, even if they choose to apply after November 15th, there are still scholarships available, and they are going to have all the way until August 1st, actually, to apply. We are on rolling admissions, so students are going to receive decisions typically within 2 weeks of applying to Illinois Tech. Do notice that if you have international students that you work with that live outside of the United States, their deadline is just a little bit earlier. It's May 15th, and that is for the reason that, of course, we have to work with visas and things along those lines to get them here. For spring admission, when classes begin in January, the deadline to apply for spring is November 15th for international students, and then it's a little bit later for students living in the US, December 1st. For students who have a very specific career path that they're wanting to pursue, that is typically related to pharmacy or osteopathic medicine or law, we do have some direct admission programs for these types of fields. And then Kaylin Yvonne is our dual programs coordinator. You can see her email address at the bottom of the screen. So if you have any students that you think would be interested in being directly admitted as seniors in high school to some of these medical programs or pharmacy programs or honors law, absolutely jot down her email address and reach out to her, and she can give you more information about these. If students are curious about their possible out-of-pocket cost and how much aid they may be getting when they come to Illinois Tech, we do, of course, have our net price calculator on our financial aid website. So this is absolutely a tool at students' disposal. One of the things that I do want to point out, of course, in addition to considering the cost of college, it's also really important to consider, how's this going to benefit students in the future? So in terms of student success and career placement, Illinois Tech is rated #1 in the state of Illinois with financial aid. And basically what that means is typically by about mid-career, these students are typically earning more in terms of salary than their peers who graduated from other institutions. So although, yes, it is an investment to come to Illinois Tech, at the end, there's absolutely a return on that investment for our students. When it comes to our financial aid process, you can see Illinois Tech school code is listed right here. They're definitely going to want to fill out their FAFSA starting October 1st. That being said, typically once we get that FAFSA, we are able to then go out with financial aid offers, typically around the beginning of March, and sometimes it's even earlier than that. I do want to have a little bit more of a conversation about first-year scholarships. There are going to be certain scholarships that students actually have to apply for separately. There are going to be certain scholarships that they're just automatically considered for just by applying to the school. You should know that every single student, whether they are domestic or international, is automatically going to receive a merit-based scholarship that's going to range anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to $30,000 a year, and that scholarship is renewable for all years of their education. Domestic students are awarded the Henry T. Heald Scholarship automatically, and then international students are awarded the International Scholarship. Now, if students apply to Illinois Tech by by November 15th, which is that priority scholarship deadline, they are also automatically considered for our Camrys scholarship, which is a full tuition scholarship that they would have to interview for in February. In terms of our other priority scholarships where that application is needed by November 15th, they can also apply separately through a separate application for a Crown Scholarship if they're an architecture major, which is going to be full tuition. There is a Leadership Academy Scholarship that's also a separate application. It is full tuition. And then we also have our Duchess Wall Leadership Scholarship, which is full tuition and room and board. And like I said, that is an application that is needed for that. We also have some other scholarships that are available to apply for that are due by January 15th. You can see those listed here. Notice that if you have students who are involved in either FIRST or VEX robotics, they just have to submit the application form, and that's an automatic $25,000 a year scholarship. So that's huge. For the Collins Scholarship, that is specifically for CPS students, and it is a need-based scholarship. So there is a financial component to that. I'll get to that in just a moment. And then we also have our Chicago Police and Fire Scholarship, and that is for anyone who has family members serving in Chicago Police or Fire. As I said, Collins is a CPS specific or Chicago Charter School scholarship. Now, students' family does have to demonstrate financial need of an AGI below 60,000, or they have to be Pell eligible, but they have to complete their application and submit their FAFSA by January 15th to be considered for that Collins scholarship. The really cool thing about Collins as well is these students are then welcomed into kind of a cohort model as well, so they also have a supportive scholarship community when they get to our campus. For transfer scholarships, the ones that we have available are listed right here on the screen. So just by applying to Illinois Tech, no separate application needed, they are automatically granted a transfer scholarship, just like our first-year students automatically get that merit-based HEALD scholarship. And it can be anywhere from $14,000 all the way up to $25,000 a year. In addition to that, we do have our Chicago Star Scholarship. We have certain scholarships that are associated with certain partner schools, such as Triton or College of DuPage. Those are $25,000 a year scholarships as well. And then if students would like to apply for the Presidential Scholarship or the Phi Theta Kappa Scholarship or Chicago Police and Fire, those are also available. If you have students who are interested in summer programs, we do have pre-college programs available as well. When it comes to this summer, it's looking like we are going to be offering some interactive and engaging online programs. So if you have any students who are wanting to do summer programs, we are absolutely still going to be offering some things even with the given situation. We will have more information soon specifically about which programs will be offered. So be checking your email because we'll be sending emails out about these. And if you have any further questions, this is our information to contact us. But now that we are finished with the presentation, I do want to turn it back over to Toni to chat about some of your questions.
Thanks so much, Markie. Just hi again, everyone. In case you joined us a little bit later into the presentation, we are recording this presentation, and a lot of the questions that some of you might have submitted can be answered if you want to go back and watch the beginning or just catch up to whenever you entered into the presentation. And so I won't actually reiterate or review questions that we've already answered just for the sake of everyone in the room. So just make sure that you go back and double check and watch it from the beginning. However, we do want to move into our Q&A because there have been some great questions coming in that we haven't addressed yet. And I do want to kick this off first with addressing what we're doing around COVID-19, since I imagine that is on all of your minds as well as the families and students that you work with. Markie, while I start talking about some general things, could you navigate to the Illinois Tech website? And then from there, we'll show the general COVID-19 message that's up at the top, and then we'll also navigate to the undergraduate admissions FAQ as well. So while Markie is sharing her screen with you, and taking you through our website. So there are two places where we're providing COVID-19 information. So right now, if you're on any website for Illinois Tech, like many institutions, we have an alert at the top of every single page, and that will take you to the COVID-19 page for the overarching institution. So essentially everything that we've done, every single communication that we've sent out to our campus community, you can stay in the know and you can stay up to date right there to really organize what you might be trying to find in terms of how we're supporting current students. And I have to say, everyone's in the same situation where this has just been a stressful time, but I have been so proud to be a part of this community, given how quickly we've reacted, the safety of our students, faculty, and staff being our first priority. And so much so, last week, I think it was Friday, our president sent an email out to the community that said, hey, check out this video that our current students made. And it was a thank you video that our current students had made for our Illinois Tech faculty and staff, just thanking everyone for everything that they've done. And I have to say, I actually cried. That actually happened on Friday. So it was very moving. But this is where you'll find some overarching information about that. And then if you actually go to our undergraduate admission website, we realize that our admitted students for the class of 20 and also our stakeholders looking to the class of 21 are looking for a little bit different FAQ. So we have a separate FAQ for COVID-19 on the undergraduate admissions website. So if you have students that are thinking about applying for the class of 21, or even the class of 20, you can see what we're doing right there. If you're thinking about visiting, we quickly turned everything virtual. So I'm really proud of the undergraduate admissions team and the work that they've done there. And then also a lot of FAQ around admitted students for fall 20 so that they can understand what we're doing. Just a quick overview for May 1, we're keeping our May 1 deposit deadline. However, that is refundable. So we're making it refundable this year. So no problem, no questions asked. What we're hoping students will do, and families, if there's a financial concern post May 1, even pre-May 1, is that they'll reach out to their admission counselor and work with them to see what we might be able to do if we need to go through a new financial aid appeal because things have changed financially for the family. The other thing we're doing is every family is different, so we're not doing a blanket deadline extension. However, the opportunity to extend that deadline from May 1 to whatever works for the family, that will be done and approved on a case-by-case basis. We'll put that in there and we will guarantee a student spot for the fall class regardless of how long they need to wait, as long as we can get them in for move-in and welcome week. And we are planning to, the university is, I would say it's likely that a lot of universities are going to be online for the summer. We went ahead and preemptively made that move for pre-college programs so we could go ahead and start marketing those opportunities and enrolling students in those pre-college programs. However, for the fall, the planning really is that at a minimum, we need to be able to offer online opportunities to our international students who, even if we're able to operate in person in the fall, that our international students might not even be able to make it to the United States. So we are planning right now to where we'd probably be running online and in-person simultaneously for the fall semester. And we would, of course, work with students if they need to be online, if they are comfortable being in person. So we'll definitely, and we will continue to announce this. So we're sending regular emails out to the parents of our admitted students, letting them know when we've made an official announcement. Of course, we're sending out information to our admitted students themselves. We still have not made the decision to be test optional for the class of 21. We are absolutely watching the situation, watching what College Board and ACT are doing to accommodate students. And then we'll make that decision once we have a little bit more information and we can kind of understand how students will be fully impacted for the class of 21. So that's just an update right there, a couple of things that we've been doing related to COVID-19. I will say that it's been really helpful. We have, like most universities, an emergency planning team. And I think I was talking to the director of that area yesterday, and she mentioned that just last year, they had gone through a measles outbreak simulation with administration on campus, and that had proved to be very applicable to the things that we're having to do right now around COVID-19. So we were really prepared to quickly set up. We've contracted with a hotel near campus if we needed to quarantine students. We've set everything up to go online, be virtual. So that's just a little bit of information around COVID-19. So I did want to put that out there. And then I do want to move over to some questions that you've submitted that are around other topics. So we have one in here, just to clarify, is housing offered for upperclassmen? You know, Markie mentioned earlier that 70% of our students for the undergraduate body live on campus. And so we require students to live on campus for the first 2 years. They can submit a waiver if they would like to live off campus, but there is a residency requirement. But beyond that, we absolutely have students that continue to stay with us past their second year. And Markie also mentioned we have quite a lot of graduate students. So the housing options are pretty robust. There's apartment style, there's suite style. Now there will be pod style with KSIT coming online. And we're actually taking this time right now where, you know, we're down to 400 current students to leave campus if they had nowhere else to go. And so we have around 400 students on campus, but we're taking this time where it's a little bit less occupied and doing some renovations on some other res halls and making some updates so that we can have more than just any res hall opening in the fall. So we do have a lot of options for upperclassmen that are coming in if they would like to live on campus, as well as graduate students. Another question that came in is, how active is the Career Center in helping students find internships and employment? Our career services was wonderful. We have a new AVP that joined us last fall for career services, and he's been phenomenal. And even just in 4 months, he was able to put up, Markie, can you navigate to the career outcomes or career services website?
Absolutely.
While I'm talking about this, thank you. So he has been a wonderful partner, and you know, we are fortunate that we are a really small campus, but we also have a lot of heavy hitting companies that are after our students because of that skill set. You know, Markie showed you the ROI on their salary. There's a reason why, and a lot of companies are definitely after Illinois Tech grads and would love our graduates to join their team. And so one of the things that's really helpful is on the career services site, number one, they've gone completely virtual as well. So they can offer career coaching. They're offering, I talked to the AVP yesterday for career services, and he's working on the next virtual career fair. So we're still keeping students in touch. Internships have been paused currently, just given the situation. And we're hearing from companies that that's kind of difficult for them to be guaranteeing and offering internships for this summer. But one thing that's great to see on here as well is the career outcomes. So you can actually visit the career services website. Markie has navigated to it. There's a career outcomes section. You can see, you know, where our students land in the first 6 months after graduation. You can sort by internship. You can see their salaries. You can see the companies that they're landing at. You can even see geographically where they tend to go, both in the US and globally. So it gives you some really good information. It tells you what universities that they're pursuing, where their graduate degrees at, post or PhDs as well. So that's a really great way to look at that. And then their website also has a link to a lot of research opportunities, the internships that we produce as well. And what I find really cool about the Career Outcomes website is you can filter by, did a student do an internship or not do an internship even, and no surprise to any of us, students who complete an internship, at least one, actually have a higher placement rate than those who don't. So it is really valuable, and we try to plug that with students constantly, that an internship is something that they should absolutely do. While iPro definitely sets their resume apart, an internship is invaluable. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Let's see, I answered that one. We did get a specific question about architecture. So, you know, Markie went over the highlights of architecture, but someone is asking the specific, like the type of admitted student, best advice for the application process, and architecture students. So what is really nice about our architecture program is we do not require high school students that are applying to have a portfolio. We don't expect them to have already proven that they are phenomenal architects. We expect that we will be teaching them that information. And so there is no portfolio required. And so what we're really looking for, we found that the ACT or SAT test score really is not indicative of success in our architecture program. And so those students, we're not really placing a lot of emphasis on their SAT or ACT scores, but we are looking more at, have they taken some art classes? Have they had any architecture or design experience? What is their GPA like? How are they able to practice time management skills? Because they will need to love the field of architecture to be in it. It's a very rigorous program. You know, ours is the accredited program that's 5 years, so it allows them to actually sit for licensure once they've completed our bachelor's program, as opposed to being required to receive their master's degree in order to sit for licensure. But it is a lot of work, and so students, time management is key. We hear all the time from our ARCIs that they're in the studio sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning finishing their projects, and oftentimes they are very particular about their design. If you've hung out with some architects, essentially they are artists, right? But they're very meticulous. And so that is a program where we're trying to see, can we assess time management skills, the love for art and design and that field, but we aren't requiring a portfolio. There is a special scholarship that is full tuition that Markie mentioned, and we do require a portfolio and an interview for that, because we are looking for a little bit more of an advanced student for that scholarship. All right.
Toni, one thing that I want to address, I know that it's highlighted in green because I did chat a little bit about this, but it did ask specifically about supports for students who have learning disabilities or students in the LGBTQ community, students of color. And so I know that I briefly mentioned the first year experience. So I would say that that would be one answer to that question, is that really all students are given that form of support within their first year. However, with that being said, we do have a Center for Disability Services. So for students who have learning disabilities who may have actually had formal individualized education plans in high school, it is up to the student to self-identify, but if they self-identify and they go to the Center for Disability Services, they can absolutely have accommodations put in place. And then our Center for Disability Services will work very closely with the professors for that student to ensure that they're aware of what accommodations need to be given. In terms of supports for students of color, we have done a ton of work in that area in terms of ensuring that not only do we have student organizations where those students can come together, but in addition to that, they are wrapped within those other support services on campus, such as the first year experience. So I did want to make sure that I kind of explicitly addressed that.
Great. And I think we have one more question that came in, and they're kind of related. So I'll answer that. And then I also want to let you guys know, because this is scheduled till 10:30, so I want to be respectful of your time. There is an optional campus tour at 10:30, so after this, so hang around if you'd like to be on that campus tour. We have some of our current students who would normally be walking you around campus, and instead they're going to walk you around virtually through a virtual tour. So hang around for that. So one of the questions is, can you explain finances around a 5-year program? And yes, absolutely. So any student who's completing an architecture program, which is 5 years, they will keep their undergraduate funding the entire time from the Illinois Tech scholarships. Obviously, we're not going to pull that away in that 5th year. So their finances remain the same with us. And that goes same case if they're receiving their accelerated master's program. So they have the option to get, it's kind of a 4+1. You may be familiar with that terminology, where they're receiving their master's and their bachelor's at the same time, or in 5 years. And that funding for undergraduate Illinois Tech scholarships still stays with them in that 5th graduate year as well, which is a really great bonus and value. Lastly, I want to talk about finances around COVID-19. So just this morning, I got off of a video call with our AVP for financial aid, and the stimulus package is being dissected as we speak at every college. But we have close to $2 million at Illinois Tech that we're going to start pushing out to both current students and the incoming class. And so these are one-time emergency funds that we have access to. We're also looking at our student population for the incoming class, and we're able to shift funds. Around $300,000 of our work study money can now be pushed into an SEOG grant. And so I'm working closely with financial aid to ensure that we are making sure all of our students that absolutely need this. We've already had parents talk to us about loss of income, loss of jobs. And so we're proactively reaching out to the incoming class around that. And then we are also, of course, working with our current students. And so one of the things that we've done is set up a Hawks for Hawks fund. And this is a fund that exists, year round, but it allows alumni and friends of Illinois Tech, and even current students and parents sometimes donate to this. And this fund goes straight into the pockets of our neediest students. Of course, it's vetted through financial aid to make sure it's dispersed appropriately, but it might be something like hey, you've gone completely virtual and we have a student that doesn't have a laptop or doesn't have access to a laptop, so they can apply for funds for things like that. They'll be reviewed, whatever it may be. And of course, we're issuing refunds for housing for the spring semester. So a lot of support right now around that, and we will continue to post that on our website and also for undergraduate admissions and also the COVID-19 website. So we have officially run out of time, but I do hope that you will contact us directly or the admission counselor for your area for whatever questions that you might have for follow-up, and then we will absolutely get those answered for you. But now I want to turn it over to the campus tour folks and have them walk you through that next step if you are choosing to stick around with us for that campus tour. Thanks everyone, we really appreciate your time, and we hope to see you in person on our campus at a later time.